Welcome to my channel. My name is Kevin and you can call me Mr. Kev. You're watching KevLogs. In this episode, art versus artist. Internet, we really need to talk about this. In the wake of the hashtag MeToo movement, there have been some very interesting developments. Let me start off by clarifying that this video is not about the hashtag MeToo movement, but a conversation that we all need to be having moving forward. This is a question that has been boggling my mind, tormenting me every single time I hear something about a certain artist. Does this affect the way I look at art? Let me give you an example. The infamous case of Kevin Spacey. There were several allegations against him. He was replaced by Christopher Plummer in this movie called All the Money in This World, and he was also dropped by Netflix on the contract. His publicist dropped him. These were the results of hashtag MeToo movement that happened back in 2017, and it currently is happening in India. Clearly, we have a lot to talk about as far as MeToo goes, but let me get back. It is a fact that Kevin Spacey is one of the best actors this world has produced. It is also true that there have been several cases of allegations against him for his inappropriate behavior. Does that mean we strip off everything that Kevin Spacey has ever done? This is the question that I'm trying to find the answers to. Let me be very clear. I am not sure where I stand on this. I do not know if the art and the artist has to be considered one, or do they have to be considered as two separate entities. Let's take Kevin Spacey for example. He has been teaching acting through several mediums. In fact, some of his movies are considered material to learn acting from. Because of this case, do we strip off all those movies that Kevin Spacey has acted in from these acting schools or from these film schools? But if I were to question this, I would try to wrap it in a different way. Let's take another example. There is this horrible disease that takes lives of a lot of people, and there exists one pill that is a lifesaver. That pill is the key to curing this disease. But that pill was invented by a sexual deviant or a serial killer or just a bad human being. Do we deny this world of that pill that saves life just because the human behind it was a horrible person? It is a very interesting question, and this is the case, let me tell you, for every single artist that I hear about. Let's take Michael Jackson. The first time I learned that Michael Jackson has had sexual abuse cases against him, actually, to be very particular, in 1993, this guy called Evan Chandler accused Michael Jackson of sexually abusing his 13-year-old son. Now, I do not know whether this is true or false. There have been several other allegations against him as well. This definitely does skew my image of Michael Jackson, but I cannot deny the influence this art of his has had on several people, several dancers, several musicians. You just cannot ignore all those lives that have been influenced and inspired by this human's art. I had a friend who passed away a few years back, an artist that he had referred me to listen to. That was the time I was going through my alternate music phase where I was listening to a lot of alternate bands, and one such alternate band that he suggested was Lost Prophets, and specifically Lost Prophets 4 AM Forever. I'm not saying the song is the best song ever or this song is the best song that he has suggested to me. No, there have been other song suggestions as well. This song has had a personal influence on me. It is a song that reminds me of him every time I listen to. The song literally starts with, "Yesterday I lost my closest friend." And that was the exact feeling I had when he passed away. And I cannot deny how much of an influence that song has had on me on a personal level. It is a personal attachment that I have to this song. Now let me give you a background to the band. The band's lead singer, his name is Ian Watkins. Ian Watkins has been convicted of attempting rape of a 11-month-old baby. He was caught on tape trying to rape a 11-month-old baby. And there were countless other cases of pedophilic behavior that have been recorded. He is convicted and he is serving his prison sentence at the moment, I believe. Now, does that make the song a horrible song? Is a question that has bothered my mind for a really long time. And in the wake of this hashtag MeToo movement, this question is going to knock on your doors as well. One of the best examples would be Vikas Bahl's Queen, a 2014 film with Kangana Ranaut as the main lead, which has been hailed as one of the best films of that year and as a stepping stone towards portrayal of women in films or women in cinemas. Do we ignore this movie for what it's done? Ignore its influence in the cinema? It broke a lot of stereotypes in terms of female portrayals. Yet, there have been several sexual misconduct accusations against this director. I'm asking you, does that skew your opinion of the film? Let's take another example of from a man from another field altogether. I'm pretty sure you're all well aware of Lance Armstrong. Lance Armstrong had denied using performance enhancing drugs, and yet he came out in an interview, I believe in 2016 if I'm not mistaken, saying that he has been using drugs. Now, this is a man who overcame cancer, has a foundation called Live Strong, which supports cancer survivors and even cancer research. The influence this man has had on several lives to believe that they can overcome cancer is huge. We can strip him off his medal, true, but can we really strip off the influence that that foundation has had, that his influence has been on several people? It's a question that I believe we all need to ask. The other day, I remember having a conversation about artwork being not that great. I'm not a big fan of the song called Friday by Rebecca Black, but I'm a huge fan of the artist for the human she is. Once that song was released, I believe this is a huge article that I read about how she was bullied on the internet. We have all seen memes that are very judgmental and misogynistic against her for the song that she was popular for. You know, it is also true that she used all the money that she earned through YouTube on that video to support an anti-bullying foundation. This is a human that I would really stand for. But the art, I am not very particular about it. I'm not a big fan of it. In this case, I'm willing to set aside the work of art and the artist. Let's take another infamous example of Stanley Kubrick. There is this movie called The Shining, which is infamous for the way he treated the lead actress in that film, or during the for the duration of 13 months that the actress worked with him. It was just last year that there was this famous interview where she was out of place. By out of place, I shall try to link them down below. There are lots of things in that interview that is shocking. A lot of people attribute it to Kubrick's behavior on the sets of The Shining. This is not the first. Kubrick has been harsh on a lot of other actors as well. Even his crew members. There are stories of him being very, very aggressive. In this case, his harshness did produce the work of art. Do we reject the work of art just because he was a horrible person? Do we strip all the film schools of Stanley Kubrick's work because all his works are being taught in film schools, like they are being studied in the film schools? I like Kubrick. I would still watch his films. I would still like to analyze his films. A lot of it comes down to personal choice, I believe. We choose to be comfortable in where we stand. I might choose to separate Stanley Kubrick from the Stanley Kubrick's work of art, but I might not choose to do the same in case of, let's say, Ian Watkins. If you ask me if I've changed my opinion, no, I am still having this doubt. It is a confusing state of mind. Tomorrow, a person who's alleged or convicted of a horrible crime, do we deny that person's work prior to his conviction? Is a question that I would like to ask all of you. The case of the example that I gave you, where a life-saving pill that is responsible for saving millions of lives shouldn't be taken away just because the person who created it has been a horrible human being. Can we apply the same to something that is not necessarily life-threatening in terms of the choice, but influencing lives? In this case, I speak of the art. Take an example of a comedian like Louis C.K. I'm a huge fan of Louis C.K. At least I was. Now I don't know if I can go out and say I'm a fan of Louis C.K. because if I'm a fan of Louis C.K., I'm accepting that I am a fan of everything he does. But that's not what I mean. I'm a fan of his humor. I'm a fan of his comedy. Do I strip away the influence that comedy that he has brought to this world just because he is a bad human being? Maybe, see, I'm not saying he should come back and start working. No, he has to pay the price. People who have been convicted of any horrific crime need to serve the time. Now, the works prior to them being convicted, do we set that aside and say the world shall not see this? The world shouldn't see this. I don't know if we are right by denying the world the opportunity to see a person's work, invariable of what that person has done or what their crimes are. But I do know that we will be stripping off a lot of people of the influence of this good work that might lead tomorrow to a better world. I leave you with this. Should the art and the artist be separated? If so, drop down your opinions on the comment section below. Where do you stand? What are the criterias that you're looking into? Because I really don't know what the levels are to this. Where do we say this is the line beyond which we will not consider the art separate from the artist? In case of comedians, the art and the artist seem to be the same. I am open and willing to listen to you all. And I hope whichever path we choose, it leads to our world living a better life. Subscribe if you haven't. If you are a subscriber, do share this video because I think this is a conversation that we all need to have. So share this video. I'd like to know what you think of it. I'd like to know what your parents think of it. I'd like to know what your friends think of it, what your family members think about it. Let me know on the comment section below. Looking forward to all those comments that are coming. See you guys. This has been me. I'm signing off.